Good afternoon, friends. I know we are unprogrammed reading folks. Let's hear it a little bit louder. Good afternoon, friends.
Good. Microphone up. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Not yet.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. Just a few words before actually reading. And I just made some notes. It is with joy and humility that I welcome you here this rainy Sunday afternoon to celebrate the launching of our new anthology, Black Fire, African American Quakers, on spirituality and human rights. I welcome you on behalf of the Black Quaker Project, our outreach ministry at Wellesley Monthly Meeting of New England Yearly Meeting, whose mission is to celebrate the lives and achievements of Black Quakers worldwide. The process and product of this book were based on cooperation, on collaboration, on encouragement, on advice of literally hundreds of folks. At this point, I want to mention briefly several key people, and basically they've already been mentioned, but I want to reiterate because this was a collaborative project. Without the support and encouragement and aid, we didn't mention FGC, the reception of the receptivity of the executive director. And I'm happy to see the new executive director, Barry, is here. Let's give Barry a hand. Until June, I think, but I appreciate your sacrificing the trip to Carolina. Thank you, Barry. So I want to mention several key people, keeping in mind that this is only the tip of the iceberg of this collaborative.
Sorry to interrupt. Does anyone have a teal prism parked in the well?
Can you say it again?
A teal prism.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay, you're going to move. Someone, you're blocking something. Thank you, I apologize.
That's no problem, it's important. I don't know what the fine is for tollaways. The first, of course, are my fellow editors who accepted graciously my invitation to participate in the project. First Paul in 2003 and Steve Angel in 2006. My partner Ann Steer-Nash, who played many, many roles in this book. Shel Lavery, of course, who labored to pull all those loose ends together. The 18 writers in the book, covering the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. And the scholars who agreed to write blurbs on behalf of the book. Plus, of course, Emma Lepsansky. So this was, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Our first reading is a piece that Bayard Rustin, who was on the cover of the book, when the American Friends Service Committee board agreed back in November to put his name back on Speak Truth to Power. So there is a new editor, an author who was never mentioned in the past, and Bayard was a very key author of that book, and we can get into that during discussion as to why and how and what happened. I'd like to invite Paul and Ann and Shel, Lucy, Amanda. You're going to stay in your seats. Come on, huh? You prefer to sit or stand?
No, whatever you like.
Come on, please. I want to see your face. I don't like to see the backs of your heads. Please.
This is Nonviolence in Action. This account appeared in Fellowship, the newsletter of the Fellowship of Reconciliation, June 2nd, 1942. It was introduced by the following paragraph. A striking example of the power of nonviolence in meeting a racial conflict situation was recently given on a bus in Tennessee by Bayard Rustin, a Negro youth worker for the FOR. Getting on the bus at Louisville, Kentucky, he took a seat in the middle of the bus. The driver asked him to move to the very back, which he refused to do. And after a consultation with company officials, the driver dropped to the point and the bus started out. Negroes continuously went to the rear of the bus. Here is the story of what happened in Bayard's words.
About 13 miles north of Nashville, I heard the racket of approaching police cars. In a few seconds, the bus came to a sudden stop. A police car and 2 motorcycles drew up to us. 4 police came thundering into the bus. They consulted shortly with the driver and then came back to me.
Get up, you goddamn nigger. Why, I asked.
Get up, you black son of a bitch. What have I done that I should move? Is it? That was the last words I could say. 3 of these policemen began to beat me above the head and shoulders. Suddenly, I found myself on the floor. They were dragging me out and kicking me. Even yet, I have a dark spot on my hip. Lucky it was not a few inches away. They threw me on the ground and continued, all 4 of them, to kick and beat me. I jumped to my feet, held out my arms parallel to the ground and said, "There is no need to beat me. I'm not resisting you." At that point, 3 white men, obviously Southerners from their speech, came on the bus. They said, "Well, why did you do that to him? You've done nothing. Why not treat him like a human being? He's not resisting you." One little fellow grabbed the policeman's glove as he was about to strike me, saying, "Don't do that."
The police was about to strike him when I said to him, "Please don't do that. There's no need, for I am protected well. There is no fight. I thank you just the same." These 3 white friends began to collect my clothes and luggage, which the bus driver had thrown out of the bus to the side of the road. One elderly man asked the police where they were taking me. They said, "Nashville." He promised me that he would be there to see that I got justice.
During the 13-mile hectic ride to town, they continuously called me every name and said anything which might incite me to violence. I sat absolutely still, looking them straight in the eye whenever they dared to face me. The fact that they could not look at me gave me courage and hope, for I knew they were aware of injustice. This made them quite open for development. When I reached Nashville, they went through my luggage and papers. They were most interested in the Christian Century and Fellowship.
Finally, the captain said, "Come here, nigger." I walked directly to him. "What can I do for you?" I said. "Nigger, you're supposed to be scared when you come in here." "I am fortified by truth, justice, and Christ," I said. "There is no need for me to fear." He was flabbergasted. For a time, he said nothing. Then he walked to another officer and said, in his frustration, "I believe the nigga's crazy.
I waited there an hour and a half. The next thing I knew, I was taken for a long ride across town. At the courthouse, I was taken into the office of the Assistant District Attorney, a Mr. Ben West. As I entered the door, I heard someone in the hallway say, "Say, you colored fellow, hey!" I looked about, and there was the white gentleman who said he would see that I got justice. The district attorney questioned me about my life, the Christian century, the FOR, pacifism, and the war for about 1/2 hour. He then asked the police to tell their side of the story. They told several lies. He then asked me to tell my side. This I did, calling upon the policemen to substantiate me at each point.
The district attorney dismissed me. I waited an hour longer in a dark room, all alone. Then he came back and said very kindly, "You may go, Mr. Rustin." In amazement, I left the courthouse, being all the stronger a believer in the nonviolent approach. For I am certain that I was called Mr., that I was assisted by the elderly gentleman, and assisted by the 3 men on the bus, because I had, without fear, faced 4 policemen saying, "There is no need to beat me. I offer you no